Hey, it's Kevin DeWitt here and welcome back to the Recording in a Home Music Studio course. In this video, we're going to talk about coming up with the idea. So welcome to part 2 of the Recording in a Home Music Studio course. This part is where we get down to the nitty-gritty. We're going to start getting into actually getting our song started, recorded, and get it finished. But there is a couple of little things we need to do before we actually get down to recording, and we're going to cover those off in the first few videos, and then we are going to get down to the nuts and bolts of this whole thing. So, coming up with an idea. Obviously, if you want to record a song, first off, you need to have a song to record. And assuming that unless you're doing a cover song, you're going to need to write your song. Now, how you come up with that can be done in lots of different ways, okay? Everybody is always searching on the internet, what's the best way to write a song? And unfortunately, the answer is always, there is no best way to write a song. The best way to write a song is your way. And even your way can be done different ways for different songs. Okay, so everybody has their own technique of how to write a song, and the best approach is to just get started and get into it. The more you write songs, the more easier it's going to be to potentially write songs, and the better you'll get at it. It's like a muscle. You train it, you perfect it, you do it all the time, and you're going to generate lots and lots of songs. Lots of them are going to be rubbish, some of them are going to be good, some of them might be brilliant, but the more you write, the better chance you've got of getting those brilliant songs. Now, for me personally, most of my songs will generally come from a guitar riff. So I come up with my songs by just jamming out, sitting there, just noodling away on my guitar. Something will come up, a little riff will just come out as I'm mucking around, and I'll develop that riff. I'll just play it over and over again, and I'll keep tweaking it, and then I'll add to it and add to it. And that'll develop into a song. And then when I get that idea to a point, I'll grab my iPhone and just hit the voice memo, record, and just capture sort of a live recording of me doing that so it's captured. Because it could be months, it could be years before I actually get around to recording that part. But every time something that I'm playing while I'm mucking around comes up and it sounds good, I will record it onto an iPhone so that I've got it there and I can always get back to it at some point in time. Now, that is not the only way I write songs. I have written songs where I have been mucking around on a bass guitar and I'll come up with a bass guitar riff. I have been playing with drum grooves in drum software, and a groove will just hit with me, and then I will start with that and I'll record over that. I have written songs where I have been mucking around on a keyboard synth style instrument, and again, something just comes out of it, and that's the start of my song, and then I develop it with more instruments and everything else. Now, there's people out there, if you're a vocalist, you may hear a melody in your head and you may sing or hum that melody, and that is the start of your song, and then you'll write words to fit that melody. You may be a musical savant and you can actually sit down with a piece of paper and write musical notations right out of your head without even an instrument in front of you, and you just write the score down. Now, that's not me. I can't do that. I don't even read notational music properly. I mean, I can read a little bit, but there's no way I could write it. I need to hear things. I can't imagine it in my head. But there are brilliant people out there that can do that, and they can just write it straight out of their head. They have the melody, they imagine the melody in their head, and they know exactly what notes they are and how to write them. Now, of course, alternatively, you could be a rap artist or someone like that that goes online and buys a beat. So you've got your music already locked in and you're writing your lyrics over the top of that to go with that beat. Obviously, you can do that as well. You don't have to be the sole writer of all the instrumentation. You could be in a band and you all sit together and jam out and write songs together, or a couple of you in the band could write songs together. Now, I also sit down with a looper pedal, being a guitarist, and I will sit there and I will play some chords, get a nice pattern going, then do some some jamming over the top of that, and again, that will develop a song. The looper I've got also has some drums in there as well. So having that ability there, I can pull up a drum pattern, start it off, and then I can just jam out with my guitar and get something to fit into that drum pattern. And again, that will be inspiration for a song. It won't be the final product, that is going to be developed over time, but it is the starting point that gives us the basis of our song. Okay, so normally when I'm writing a song, I'll be just sitting here jamming with my guitar, my Kemper going, you know, so I've got some amp sounds, or it could be on acoustic, whatever. I've got a Boss looper pedal down here that sometimes I'll turn on, so I'll just give an example. So I might turn it on for a drum track, and then based on that, I might sit there jamming out. So anyway, that's an example of where I may jam out with that. But now I have a very atmospheric guitar. Now, just a heads up, I'm just recording this through the lav mic, so the guitar is not going to sound great. I'm trying to go for realism here in the fact that this is me actually jamming in my room. I'm not recording the guitar, I'm not doing anything like that. I'm just jamming out, coming up with ideas. So what you're hearing is through the lav mic, that's me talking, and the guitar. So I have a very atmospheric sort of patch here on my Kemper. Very clean, very atmospheric. And the reason is because I do have an idea in my head of where I want to go with this, and I just need to develop the song and actually come out with what I want. But I have an idea that I want something very atmospheric, something very dramatic, a bit off-putting, clashing sound, that sort of thing. That's what I'm going for. So that's what I'm going to hope to get out of this. And sometimes I'll come in with a preconceived idea, sometimes I won't, and I'll just jam and something will come out. But as I said, this time I've got something in mind and I just need to work out what I want to do. So let's just go with it. And as I said, you're just going to hear through the lav mic. Later on, when we obviously start recording things, you'll start hearing things a lot better. So I want some sort of picking type, arpeggio type arrangement. But okay, something about there is sounding good to me. But that, I mean, that's, see, I want something that clashes like that. Something like that sounds good. That sounds interesting. So when I start liking something, I'll just go over and over again. Lock it in, just make sure I like it. Now we need to obviously come up with another part. So I think up to the A works there. I want something slightly different. I don't want to just do the exact same thing. That would be exactly the same, but what if we go down? Yeah, I like that. Bit of a hand stretcher, this one. So I like that, all right? So that pattern there in itself is nice. So what I'm going to do is I get out my phone and I'm going to open up a voice memo and I'm going to record. I'm going to hit record. I'm going to put it near the speakers in my case, or if you've got an amp or whatever you've got, put it there. Putting it in front of my speakers, hit record, and then I'm going to record it. Now I might also speak into there if I want to give myself some hints. So if I come back at a lot later time and I've got to work out what I played by ear, I may give myself some hints by, I might say into the phone, G note arpeggio, G on the bass string, A on the bass string for the second chord, and then I'll work out the notes from there. And I might also say that, on the Kemper, it's my clean atmosphere patch number 1 or something like that, just so I know what I'm doing and what I've got, especially if I like that and I want to lock that one in. Now we need to obviously have another part. We can't do that for the entire song. So we might stick with the same vibe, but we'll go somewhere different on the neck and maybe just slightly tweak it a little bit. So let's see what'll work. So we're here. Yeah, that one works. It's up to a C. I'm liking those same sort of notes, but I want to do it different. So let's see. Could do that, just a subtle change. Now, so we go up 2 frets, do the same sort of thing. Now, usually what happens with me when I'm doing this, I'll end up making mistakes because I'll lose what I did in the first place. So then I'll do the same thing. So I'll basically loop that and I'll keep playing that. I'll record that again to my iPhone and I might do the whole pattern just so you get the whole feel, or I might just do that new part. and we'll mix them together later, whatever it is, right? But so I'd record that second part. So we'll do that now. So I'll just record the second part. And don't worry about getting it perfect. You can develop this later. Get as close as to what you want, but I'm saying you don't have to have the playing perfect. We're only recording it into our iPhone. Okay, so we've got 2 parts down. We're going to need a third part, at least. So we want something slightly different, whether it's... And some things might develop with another instrument later as well. We might add some other things, but let's just get some ideas now for this. I'm thinking something a little bit higher, so... something on the high strings. Just totally different. Right, I'm liking that chord to start with. That sounds interesting. Now, the funny thing is, sometimes when I'm doing this, I don't even know what chords I'm playing. I couldn't tell you what chords I'm playing in these high strings here. I've just played something that sounds good to me. That's pretty much it. Now, I could obviously sit down and analyze it, and I could probably work out what chord pattern that is and why it sounds good to me. But sometimes I just don't care. If it sounds good, it sounds good. If it doesn't, it doesn't, you know. I can tell that sounds horrible, right? Now, you might like that because that might be really dissonant, really clashy. And it does. The more I play it, it has a vibe to it, but... something about that. So we'll put that down again. So we'll record that. Whoops. Now we might find later on that when I put it all together, that chord just doesn't work, doesn't sound right, doesn't gel. It might be able to play it in a different spot. But I mean, that could work together there. Not quite. So again, that interests me, so I'm going to record that. Those two parts together. All right, so we got that there, and you might decide, hey, let's come up with some other part. Let's see if we can come up with something else. So I don't know. We've done a lot of arpeggios. Let's do some sort of chord based. I don't know, something to really break it up. Nah. Now the effects are going wild here, so that might just be an idea. I might like that. We might obviously back the effects off or not use that patch altogether, but I'm sort of liking that as well, so that's another option. We may not go with it, but it's something to consider, so we'll record that. Right, so there you go. That's what we've got. So that might be enough parts for now. Obviously, we've got lead guitars and stuff like that we're going to develop. We've got other instruments, and we may add some more as we go. But it's a good starting point. It's got a good basis to it, and it's something we can obviously develop. Right, we can put this into our software now, and we can start to add drums, other parts, and everything else. And there's nothing stopping us coming back for these bits later. And we can obviously write parts as we are recording them. This is more about just coming up with our starting idea, and how developed that is really up to you. Whether you go fully developed song written start to finish, including every element, intros, outros, bridges, verses, pre-choruses, everything, or if you just have a basic shell like verse chorus and you're going to come up with the rest of the stuff later. You know, that is entirely up to you how you write your song. This is the process I sort of go through. And like I said, sometimes it can be as many parts as this. Sometimes it may just be one idea and I'll come up with the rest as I record it. It all just depends, you know, and this is not the only way I write songs. Sometimes I'll sit down with a bass. Sometimes I'll start off with a drum loop. Sometimes I'll pull out a synth and I'll sit there playing things on a synth and something will come out that sounds great, and then I'll add guitar and everything else to it. All right, so hopefully the examples I've done here will show you an idea. There's a good chance that what I have shown in my little jam session here is potentially the start of the song we're going to be recording in this video. If it's not, then it's going to be something close to it, or something that was generated in the same way. So if you do have any questions about this topic, please leave them in the comments. If you want some advice or any suggestions about your recording process, what you struggle with, you want to talk through some things that you're having trouble with, please feel free to ask the question in the comments. I'd be happy to help where I can. Hopefully this video has been helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.